Actually, maybe I'll just...
No, we gotta save the twist for the end. The movie...
Slappy?
The movie taught us all about writing.
Hello, Brock!
A beginning, middle, and a twist.
Yeah, this was almost as self-indulgent as Shyamalan's writing.
As Lady in the Water.
Yeah.
Almost.
Wow, this movie is a huge R.L. Stine fan.
I was gonna say, like, you know, it's definitely Goosebumps, because it's
Not scary.
It's not that funny, it's not that scary, and it really thinks it's funny and scary.
Yeah.
And it loves sucking its own dick. It's like, no, don't you know what these are? These are Goosebumps, man. You can't sleep for weeks, man.
Oh no, that made me laugh because I'm like, that it's not Goosebumps.
Yeah, like, I think even like the most diehard Goosebumps fan is just like, no, I love these. Like, and I know people that love Goosebumps, but they're like, this is stupid. Like, I love them, I adore them, but they're not scary. They're not actually.
According to the kid in this movie, the kid who's like the cross between Shelley Duvall and Robin Gibb, he was scary as shit. He was scared. He's like, no, man, these aren't kids' books. Kids' books put you to sleep. These keep you awake.
Oh, yeah.
The kid looked like if you had combined Squints from The Sandlot with Eleanor Roosevelt.
That kid.
I feel sorry for that kid because I'm sure that like the movie was the movie cast him because they wanted a weird.
You're goofy looking, yeah.
Well, they didn't do him any favors either. It's like they kept playing it up. I'm like, this poor kid.
This movie, like, I mean, it'll certainly, I think it'll certainly have an audience. I'm certainly not it. Like, I don't have nostalgia for Goosebumps or R.L. Stine. I've read a few, like, I read the first couple Babysitter books. I read a couple of the Goosebumps ones, but I was allowed to read other things.
See, I'm with you. I could read Stephen King.
Same
I could
here,
read, you know, like, really good horror and stuff like that.
Goosebumps was kind of past our time anyway.
No, the books weren't. The show was. The show I was not the right age for, and I was just like, okay,
well,
this
the
is
books
just
started coming out, what, 88? So, at least
God,
for
was
me,
that early?
I first heard of R.L. Stine when I was in like 5th grade.
Me
so
too,
that would have been
yeah.
around 92, 91, 92.
Yeah.
So, I mean, point being, well, you guys were in 5th grade. I would have been like 7th
It would
or
have been
8th.
a little older, yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, I never got into R.L. Stine. I never thought he was scary or that great a writer. But like you said, there's an audience. It's for kids. Whatever. So this movie, the whole time I'm watching, I'm thinking like, this feels like it should have come out 20 years ago, but that.
Well, it
might
really,
be the intention.
It really
I
did
mean,
feel like a 90s movie. I gotta give
it
that. I'm
really,
like,
really did.
This has all of the lameness of the 90s. The only thing it needed a little more of was like the kids needed to be like to the extreme.
They just need a dance number where like everyone just suddenly knew a song and all sung it.
They all start singing "I Put a Spell on You."
Yes.
that's again, like, this movie is also going to be nostalgic for people who really like movies like Ernest Scared Stupid, Hocus Pocus.
It's true.
Small Soldiers.
No, you're actually right.
Yeah.
Jumanji.
It was Jumanji. The whole fucking movie was Jumanji crossed with like Gremlins or Small Soldiers or
Well, and the funny
something.
thing, here's the only thing that kind of like legitimately pissed me off about this movie is that, you know, I'm not a Goosebumps fan, but when I saw the trailer for it, I'm like, I like this idea. Like, this actually sounds like a clever, funny idea. If you show me this on paper...
Jumanji all over
No. If you show me this idea on paper, I'd be like, how do you do a Goosebumps movie? How do you do it? I'm like, that's a clever idea. And even sort of like just the layout of the story and everything, I'm like, this is a smart idea. But it doesn't treat it like, hey, we know Goosebumps is silly. We know it's, you know, actually not very good. They still treat it like it's amazing. And that's what bothered me about it. If this had a real good sense of humor about it.
Goosebumps really wasn't that
Yeah, if it had a really good sense of humor about it, like, I would have really liked it, but they're like, the only good thing they had about it was the Stephen King.
It had a sense of humor
King
about
jokes,
the Stephen King stuff.
Yeah.
Like when he, at the end, when he has to write a new Goosebumps book and he's doing it from this high school that's doing a play of The Shining. That's kind of funny.
What high school would do The Shining?
Because they can't do the gallows anymore. That's in bad taste. So like he's on like Jack Torrance's table.
Yeah.
That was fun. That
was very funny.
Him getting pissed off when he's compared to Stephen King. That was funny. Which that actually made me think, you know what would be a really good adult version of this movie is if this movie's about Stephen King and it's about all of Stephen King's characters.
That'd be cool.
Coming
Yeah,
out,
that would've been
like,
awesome.
Christine comes out of the
And it actually stars Stephen King.
Yeah.
Because,
Well,
like...
when they were going with the twist, I was just like, talking to Brad, and I'm like, this would have been a way better twist if it turns out the dummy created the R.L. Stein character.
Right?
Yeah.
I'm like, that would have been awesome.
That twist would have made more sense than the one that's actually at the end of this movie, which... okay,
Is there even really a twist? I
like,
mean,
that the
spoiler.
Invisible Boy's still alive, but, like, I don't know why he
it still
didn't
makes
get-
no sense. Yeah, all
Yeah.
the monsters he wrote, all the monsters get sucked back into
Yeah.
the book, and you forgot to include the Invisible Boy.
But
How?
you said all of the monsters, and you need a key to open these books, but apparently
puppet
all
gets
it
out.
Brad,
Yeah.
we need a sequel.
This I don't know how this movie.
The
will
Invisible
do.
Boy's gonna knock up some high school girl, have invisible
Oh my God, I
children.
love- Jack Black in this movie he's John Belushi from Neighbors, and they cross with Boo Radley. Like,
I think
And then,
it's like,
and then basically doing Mark Hamill as Chucky as the
yeah,
ventriloquist
Yeah.
dummy.
I think it's just like a lost SNL character. I mean, especially when he has to do the serious scenes, but he still has this voice. No, you have to let me go. I'm like, no, you can't do
was-
it.
I
When
thought
he's
he was
playing
fun.
the dummy, I was just laughing my ass
That
off
was
'cause
the
I
most
kept- I
fun,
kept
yeah.
wanting to hear, no, Batman, no!
When he's just tossing flaming books out of the car. Like, this movie did have fun sequences in it, honestly.
Yeah.
No,
Like,
I was, well,
The gnomes are very funny.
yeah.
the gnome scene
And-
was
and
great.
I
And
was
scary, too. They're
Yeah.
legitimately creepy.
Well, I
They're-
was telling Brad, I'm like, this really needed to be a Joe Dante movie.
Oh,
because
yeah.
the gnome sequence was like something out of Gremlins, and it was
Yeah.
legitimately
'Cause
great.
This kind of movie I liked in the 90s, like, or I'm sorry, the 80s, like Joe Dante, so like Gremlins, and because they were just a little darker, a little more,
Yeah, a little more of an edge.
Yeah.
When
and-
he's shoving the freaking gnome down the garbage disposal and they fry them in the oven, I'm like,
that was
holy
yeah,
fuck!
that was great. The
I was
gnomes
like,
are in the
holy
oven
shit!
melting. When the abominable snowman gets sucked back up in the book, it was actually
That-
kind of horrifying.
Yeah, no, that was a really cool scene. I mean, I'm watching this thinking like, oh shit, it's this kind of movie. Because I was hoping it would kind of make fun of those like 90s movies and stuff. It's like, no, we're just gonna be that, which is like, I can, in a strange way, kind of respect.
I
you know,
honestly
like you
do.
said. I can see how that would catch on, but it's like,
Yeah.
man, I wish it was making fun. We could have had like a legit good, funny, clever movie instead of, hey, we're gonna be one of those movies that you could just put on, you know, on DVD from 20 years ago.
Yeah, and I certainly like I get the appeal of it. I absolutely do, and I mean I was even sitting there like, even though this wasn't my cup of tea in the 90s, I'm like, I guess it's all right seeing another one of these around. It's not my thing, but you know, it's kind of a throwback, okay, but it's not, like you said, it could have been darker and a lot more clever with the cheesiness of these books, and it's really not.
Because I think it's such a good idea. It's like, it would have been nice if it was more aware, and it was like, hey, we, like,
Well, and
it
to
would have
be
been nice if, like, we
fair-
know what we're doing, and giving, like, you know, it's one of those where I actually kind of wanted that little
To
wink,
be
like,
fair,
hey, we know what
like
we're doing.
when it had an actual energy to it, it had a real kinetic energy to it.
Yeah, when
Like,
he's
I was like-
tossing flaming books out of the car.
Yeah, no, like
Anything with the puppet
scene,
was great.
Yeah, the scene with the gnomes, the ventriloquist dummy throwing like basically Molotov cocktails and outside and destroying the town, and even I thought the climax, there were certain scenes where I'm like, I really want to be invested in this because there's an actual energy to this. Like, at least the director knew it's like, okay, well, we're just gonna have
Yeah.
some fun and throw some
When
like
the mantis
you know,
sucks
action
out
scenes.
the bully, you
Yeah.
you leaned over to me and just went like, you just see his severed head fly.
Well, that was part of it. I kept waiting. Like, I kind of wanted it to be more dark. Like, when that mantis shows up, like, there's some reaction shot from some girl or something, and she's like, oh my god, or something. And I was like, I really just wanted a holy fuck.
When like
right
a
there.
movie like Gremlins though is a universe in which people fucking die.
Yeah.
This movie wasn't that because like
No,
for
no,
instance
it's for
when
little kids.
when the kid gets sucked out by the mantis, like okay, like a movie like Gremlins, that kid would just not be seen again, and we would assume he's.
Well, it
in
would've been
this,
like the
it
original
shows him
Willy
at the
Wonka.
end, and yeah, in this it shows him at the end, and he's fine. He's just in a cast, and I'm like, oh man.
Yeah, well, I mean, but again,
Sad
it's,
he lived.
but I mean, again, it's Goosebumps. I don't even know if he really killed anyone in the Goosebumps books
I
either,
don't know.
you know. I mean, the
I
bits
felt
I
like
read,
when I was talking to you, I was like, these all feel like half-baked jokes.
That's a
there are
big
so many
problem I have
jokes
with this.
that, like,
They just
yeah.
kind of come and go, and you're just like, I feel like that was the setup for a better joke.
But then there's like no
came.
punchline. Remember, there's a scene where it's like there's all these people are frozen and they're walking by, and the dorky kid's like, "Oh my God, my dad! Oh no, that's not my dad."
We just all looked at
what
each other
happened?
like,
Was that the part where I just heard you at one point, or sitting over there, and you just went, comedy?
yeah, I think that was.
That's a problem I have with this, because it is so much like one of these movies from the 90s that the jokes are even lame like one of those from the 90s. They're not, the jokes in this are nothing more than really simple, like, okay, Jack Black's fingers are broken. He gives a high five to the kid, and he goes, ow, shouldn't have done that. It's that, like, wah wah jokes, like when Ken Marino is hitting on Amy Ryan, and she's just like, not now, coach.
Oh,
Cut to
all
next-
right.
Okay, cut to next scene. It's like, jokes that are just kind of like,
And when the nerdy kid saves the girl,
kid.
like the thing is, I'm just like, these all would have feel like they were bigger scenes that somehow just got pretty much just cut
Actually,
for time or something. Because I'm like, I feel like the movie wants us to invest in these side characters, but you didn't have any scenes with them, so they come up out of nowhere.
You know what I wanted this movie to be? I know you have. Have you seen a movie called Sky High?
oh, the Kurt Russell one? Yeah.
I want it to be like that.
It could've
That
been
movie
closer.
had an awareness, was legitimately funny, but had good throwbacks to sort of the traditional superhero
and to be
stuff.
fair,
Here's
was
what it
really
should have
just
been.
aimed at kids.
In the
like,
mouth of madness. That's exactly what this
I would
movie
have
should
killed
have
it
been.
that movie.
When I
Little
did,
Sam Neill's the puppet going around.
oh my god.
You can't leave Eilstein. She won't let you. Let's combine all the Sam Neill movies into one.
Peaky Blinders thrown in there too, and the parts I did laugh at in this movie, other than like the gnome destruction and stuff like that, every now and then I was laughing at Jack Black. Now, his jokes are really no better or worse than anything else in this, but I don't know. He had kind of a fun manic energy that
He
isn't
definitely
exactly
is
like.
once again just doing whatever the fuck he wants in the moment, and you can't tell. Well, you know, it reminds me of King Kong, where it's like I don't know.
I love him in King
I'm like,
Kong.
I don't know what the hell you're doing, but it's kind of entertaining.
It's just so, I'm like, I don't know if you're trying to be serious or funny, whatever,
Like,
but
don't know if
I'm
you're
digging
helping
it.
or hurting the film,
Like,
but I'm enjoying
Because
it.
it's not. This wasn't a stereotypical Jack Black performance. This isn't a Jack Black performance that I've seen.
No, but this
in
is
20 other
clearly
movies.
Jack Black as...
Absolutely,
Yeah.
it is. It totally is, because it's a lot of
It's not
energy,
a-
a lot of screaming, but
it's not-
he's not playing like the rocker guy again.
It's
or
not a
something.
stereotypical Jack Black
No.
performance. It's a new Jack Black.
I like.
But it's still
what-
a Jack Black
Oh,
performance.
it absolutely is, but but at least it's not something that it's not School of Rock again or something
Yeah.
like that. But I laughed at the end when for no reason he says the kooky
cilantro.
aunt says to him like, "What's that smell?" And he's like, "Oh, I bathe myself in cilantro every morning." What's this?
We all just stood. We all sat there. We're like, what the fuck was that?
Because there's a creepiness to him in this movie, and it's like when you think about this character, he has created himself a teenage girl. Because fuck yeah.
It starts off so innocent, and then like the kid next door thinks that Jack Black killed his own daughter or something. I'm like,
Or
this turned
hitting her,
into
beating
like
her or something,
the
yeah.
Babysitters Club crossed
It
with
turned
Silence of the
into-
Lambs.
No,
in
it
her
turned
rear
into-
window.
That was weird because it looks like he's gonna smack her from the window. So it went from like the Emil Hirsch Girl Next Door movie to Jack Ketchum's The Girl Next Door, where he's like, R.L. Stein's torturing a teenage girl in this house. And then when he recreates the girl at the end, you lean over to me like, "Don't worry, kid, I gave her bigger bosoms this time."
I augmented her breast size. Trust me, you earned it.
Oh, and if, here's another thing I wrote in. If somebody gets her pregnant before the age that I want, his dick falls off. Just
She's-
saying, a little something I wrote in there. Just something to keep in mind.
I turned
She
to
is
Brad and I'm
always
like,
going to remain the same age.
Well, and I turned to Brad too. Besides that, I was like, is anybody here concerned by the fact that it's probably just Jack Black's brain in her head. Like,
No,
did
you're
this
right.
not
She's always
occur
gonna
to
stay the
anybody?
same age until he writes
Yeah,
it.
it's
or
his
whatever.
imagination that made her. So I'm like, this just is straight out of his head. This is not a concern.
Can you please write her to be over 21 now? Never mind the fact that she does look like she's like 13 or 14, and the kid who's playing the main boy
Looks like
in
he's
it.
30.
Yeah, he looks
Yeah.
like Channing Tatum in 21 Jump Street.
But
He
no,
actually
he-
looks like Channing Tatum.
No, he says, like, you know, I found out I can't legally leave until I'm 18, and, like, I remember because I saw in the trailer, I looked it up, he's fucking 18 right now.
Yeah.
It's like, that's how old he is.
Is that how old
Really?
the actor
Yeah,
is?
he's
I thought he was like
put it-
26.
Oh, God, same here. I think he was the older brother from Alexander and the Terrible, Horrible, No Good, Very Bad Day.
I'm impressed you remember that whole title.
Because I read the book.
Well, that was the other thing, too. Like, they're trying to, I guess they're trying to make him like the scaredy cat. That's what she always calls him instead of just, oh yeah, no, I'm so afraid of everything. You have no idea. Oh no, I'm gonna climb a carousel.
Oh, that fucking
Or a
that
Ferris
theme
wheel,
park.
whatever. Yeah, this
This theme park is like, oh yeah,
I
well,
built
it's,
it myself.
it's abandoned, so nobody's here. And I'm like, but the electricity still works.
Right?
I'm like, ComEd or is not sitting there
Well-
going, why are we getting this wattage drain all of a sudden?
I can wrap my brain around that. You ever see footage of that like abandoned Disney water park from Florida where like the power still works but it looks post-apocalyptic
No.
and so you still have like the children's music playing throughout it and it's on
What?
YouTube. Look at this. It's fucking amazing. It
I gotta
just
figure that out.
it
Oh,
just
maybe it's a thing.
it just looks
they
like
never
just a
shut
horror
the power
film, bro.
off at any point.
No, like it's like the music is still playing, like, and it's like, I don't know. It would be the only way to describe it is if you went to Disney World after the apocalypse and the theme to Small World was still
How long
playing.
has it been shut down?
A while, like over 10 years, I think, because like
Holy fuck.
there's like alligators in it, and there's like fucking. It looks like fucking Chernobyl.
That sounds like something they
Because
would
what
like
bothered
get
me
rid
about
of.
the one in this movie is like there are vines growing on everything. So I'm like, this had to be shut down for a while. And it's
That
connected
looked
to the
like
power
something.
grid?
Yeah, the theme park here looked like something from like you know, some like turn of the century freak show or something.
Yeah.
Like something wicked this way
Yeah.
comes.
I swear that like when you see the Ferris wheel, it's like, oh yeah, whenever this theme park's gonna come into play, whatever, it could be fun. When they climb on the Ferris wheel
You know
and it comes
exactly
loose,
where it's
I'm like,
going.
are we fucking gonna do this thing where it rolls
Yes.
down again? It's like I am so sick of
Just like
that.
Sharknado.
I saw that
It's
in the
been
trailer.
done fucking everywhere. I'm
I was
just so
expecting
done
that.
with it.
I was totally
Did you
expecting
miss the
that.
trailer? Because I saw it there.
I think I probably did.
I got the trailer for this a lot, quite a bit, because it'll show the trailer for this would show in front of a comedy, it would show in front of a horror movie. It's kind of like those movies that are usually.
Did you
like
grow
half,
up in the 90s? Well, we're going to throw this trailer before.
Yeah,
you would
it's sort of
see it.
like whenever a movie has like, okay, it has horror elements, it has action elements or comedy elements. Whenever something mixes a bunch of stuff like that, you will get that trailer in
everything.
front of anything that is any like comedy. If you're going to see a comedy, if you're going to see a horror movie, or
They'll
like
put
you
it
said,
before,
like something
yeah.
that from the 90s or something.
I was seeing The War Room, and for some reason I got a Goosebumps trailer. I think this stuff's all
I don't think
satanic.
that would have been kind of funny. I got a trailer for like Everest in front of War Room.
I don't know. Didn't R.L. Stein ever write a book like Jesus Goes to School or something like that? The Headless Jesus. I mean, maybe that's somehow made it in there.
Didn't he write like an adult horror book once? It was called like Superstition or
I bet it was
Superstitious.
hilarious.
Oh god, I don't remember hearing if it was any good or not.
I remember that because I remember just reading one of the book reviews of it, and like it was just getting slammed.
Oh.
Well, you know, here
But I never read it, so
I'll say this about Goosebumps just in general, and I think this kind of ties into the movie because, like, the ending credits of this is actually probably the
Were
best part
amazing.
of the movie. Yeah, because they look like the covers
they
of
look
the
like
books.
a Joe Dante. Look like something
Yeah.
on a matinee.
They look like the covers of the books, and here's what I realized about Goosebumps: why it could be okay, but why they're not very good is because Goosebumps goes out of its way to make it clear we're gonna scare you, kids, we're gonna get you and stuff. And that's not what they are.
What's a
These are
letdown, then?
no. These are like, whatever. Oh, just freaky, weird stuff that happened at school today. If they were just wild, weird adventures and they market them like that, that'd be fine. But they're building up that they want to scare you. And with the childhoods that we had with
Yeah.
the 80s and the scary ass movies that we had that actually did creep us out, here that were not meant to creep you out. Actually,
Yeah.
It's like here's just a scary moment.
We thought we were being
otherwise not
charming
scary
when
movie.
we had Dorothy running around.
Well, yeah, no, like Return to Oz and all these other
Yeah.
movies. But now here's a series that is trying to be scary. It's intentionally trying to scare your kids, and you don't have to go super bloody or anything, but it's like, why not actually scare the kids? Make something scary. And if this was marketed as, hey, just goofy, weird, supernatural adventures, I probably like Goosebumps fine, whatever.
Yeah,
But it's the fact that it's trying to scare you, and obviously nobody's actually scared by
But
it.
it's like trying to market Beetlejuice as a scary movie, or like a terrifying movie. Not that I think
Honestly,
I think Beetlejuice is better than
Goosebumps.
Goosebumps. But yeah, it is. Like especially that snake part.
Yeah.
But yeah, Beetlejuice is it's better than Goosebumps is. But that's like, but Beetlejuice is a movie, and the cartoon, maybe a better comparison is the cartoon series. Like the cartoon series it's marketed as like goofy, dumb, kind of dark and funny and whatnot. It's not marketed as like, be careful when you watch this cartoon, man. You won't shit right for a week.
It's just always what bothers me, because I think there's a sense that, it's like, it's scary, but it's for kids, so we're not really gonna be scary. That's the same thing with comedy. It's like, it's comedy, but it's for kids, so we're not really gonna be funny. It's like, no, be funny, be scary. Why not be this stuff? Why do we have to act like, oh, no, we can't do it? The kids know what they're getting into.
I'm just fascinated that there was a killer clown character in this movie that was never used.
There was,
really? You have a killer clown in that menagerie there, and you barely ever see that clown.
I was seeing a lot of characters
been front
in
and
there.
Center. Yeah, there's a bunch. I was like, these would be front and
The
center.
mummy guy. There was a mummy guy in
Yeah.
there. There was. I'm glad they didn't utilize the zombies much because I'm over that shit. But I thought
That was one of
about
my
the
favorite
clown
scenes. They're
too.
like, we shouldn't walk through the cemetery. I'm like, you just encountered a werewolf under the bright lights of a grocery store. I think the cemetery's fine. It doesn't matter.
Actually, the one thing that there's a couple of things that it made me laugh a little bit in this movie, but the one that I thought, at first I was like, what the fuck, but then they explain is when the kid bites the werewolf, and it's like, what the hell is he doing? And he has a silver filling. I'm like, okay, that's a little clever. That made me laugh.
I didn't realize what was going on first. I was like, did he just go full on, like, fucking Mike Tyson?
Yeah, like,
on
what
this
the hell?
werewolf?
And then when they explained it, I'm like, okay.
I didn't even get that until you just explained it. I think at that point I was sort of like, I have been seeing kind of the same scene here for the past 40 minutes. I'm kind of just waiting for this to end. There's only so much destruction I can watch with a lot of these characters.
All I can say is I don't know what to say because I don't think I was the audience for this film.
It's harmless.
So.
I will say
It's
that.
totally
It's totally harmless.
It could have been way worse.
Yeah.
It's not something-
God, it could have been.
Yeah, I'm not going to say this was great, but then again, it wasn't, Alvin and the Chipmunks, the road
chip,
Yeah.
or Norm of the North.
Yes.
Yeah.
The previews before this.
This movie, I can say, like, if this is something you grew up on, or if you are nostalgic for this kind of movie, you'll find some stuff in this movie that you'll find entertaining.
It did
me
actually
personally,
feel like a 90s film.
oh god, yeah. Me personally, I would say it's a rental. I think if you've got a family and you want to take them to something relatively harmless.
Don't waste your fucking money on the 3D.
No.
Oh my god, it was
No.
nothing.
Yeah.
It was like such bullshit. I actually was disappointed.
Me too, especially after seeing The Walk yesterday and stuff like The
nice.
Martian. Like, no, don't waste your money on 3D, especially if you're taking like a whole family to go see this. But if you want to do like a family Halloween movie, sure, why not?
Go see Hotel Transylvania 2.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
I haven't seen that, but just take the family to Crimson Peak. Fuck yes! That's what my mom would do. Just take me to see Crimson Peak. Just do that.
Well, and this is why Goosebumps doesn't scare us. Like,
It's all good
we grew
scary
up
stuff.
with
Yeah.
freaky shit.
Like, I don't need to watch this haunted mask thing from Goosebumps. I can just watch The Shining.
Yeah, or the Twilight Zone with the mask. And
Yeah.
it's like, go see Twilight Zone or Stephen King. Any of that stuff does it better.
Yeah.
So we're almost out of time here, so we better wrap it up.
Oh yeah, so I would put it as a rental. Honestly, that's it.
Yeah, it's harmless. If you like it, great. It's not for us.
It's later.